Fellow tennis nerds, how are you? I hope all is well. First, I want to start about the importance of the grip, right? The feeling of the grip, the shape of the grip, and the correct sizing, which is a science in itself, right? It's not so easy to find the right size. And you've been going through quite a journey with this sizing thing for your bubble at VS, right?
Yes, I got used to one kind of grip shape. This is also a different part. Like you have different grip shapes. You have like how big is the grip and stuff. There's so many variables you have to take into consideration when you think about the correct grip for you.
Yeah.
But I went up grip sizes.
Yeah, you've been going steadily a little bit up, right?
Yes. And I think now I will settle around the grip 4.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Now.
Like Alcaraz, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't play like him, but
Nobody does. But it's also funny because like have Rafa, which looks like he has bigger hands than Carlos, but he plays a 2 and Carlitos plays a 4, right? So it's not always the hand size, or it's what you feel comfortable with and how you play tennis. And generally, like, you need to have a pretty secure grip. I think it's better for arm problems, right? If you have a very small grip, it's very easy that you try to adjust your grip strength, right? And you grip it too tightly or then maybe too loosely, so that I think it can be pretty bad. It's better to hold it in a relaxed but firm grip, right?
Yeah, I think when the grip is too small, you feel that the racket is a bit unstable in your hand because it's not secure in your hand.
Yep.
And you start over tightening it, and then you get forearm issues. Like it can be here like the golfer's elbow, or also like the tennis elbow from just gripping too hard because you want to secure the racket.
Yep.
But the same can happen if it's too big, right? If the grip is too big, then you can't squeeze tight enough to have it secure in your hand, and you will still feel that it's wobbly. It will feel more stable when you hit, but it can still like cause arm issues. So I think this is one thing that is a bit overlooked when you think about like how's the racket feeling, and is it stiff? What is it doing with my body? What is happening in my arm? Is it the string? Is it the stiffness of the racket?
So many parameters, yeah.
But I think what is overlooked a bit is like the grip size. A lot of people just go for, I go 3, I go 2, because someone told me to, and they don't really think about what like impact this can have on the arm especially.
Yeah. And you can change grip size upwards pretty easily by adding a thicker base grip, like the grip underneath the overgrip. By adding 2 overgrips, it rounds off the grip. Or by adding what you did for your racket, which is like a heat shrink sleeve. The shrink sleeve sounds like it should shrink the grip, but it means that the actual sleeve around the grip shrinks and then becomes either half a size more or a full size more. And these are like €8 or whatever on Tennis Warehouse. And that's what you've used to get like a bit more headlight and more weight in the handle, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you can use that, but you have to take into account that you put a lot of weight in the handle. So if you want to customize, then it's fine. If you don't want to customize, then it can be a bit tricky because like I think the full size, what I did from size 3 to 4 is like 17, 18 grams, the shrink sleeve itself, and half the size is half of it. So this is what you can calculate. But it's very easy to apply. I never did it before, so I tried it the first time. You need a heat gun. This is something maybe
it doesn't work with a hairdryer. I told you maybe a hairdryer, but it has to be like a very powerful hairdryer.
The hairdryer is like not hot enough to really like get it shrinking around. So I bought a cheap one for, I don't know, €20, and you can work with that. But if you know someone who has it, maybe that's the better alternative, because you don't do that every time, right? No. This is just a one-time thing. But you can cut it off if you don't like it. So it's very easy to remove as well. This is, I think, like the easiest and cheapest choice if you want to do it, but it adds a lot of weight. So this is something you have to think about.
Yep.
Also, what I realized is that when you put base grips on, they differ in thickness. I knew that from the leather grips I used. The leather grips are usually a bit thinner, so you feel the bevels more. But also, like the synthetic grips you use are different in, they say comfort level, usually when the brands sell it.
Yep.
But comfort level means that it's thicker usually, and you have to like watch or like make some research. What do I have now?
Yep.
And what put I on now? You can go down one size or half a size if you put like a thinner base grip on. This is something you can also.
But it also, I mean, then it creates a much stronger connection to the bevels, which is not always good. Like some players love to feel the bevels using a leather grip, and there's even this Kimoni leather grip, which is ultra thin, which you're talking about, like it reduces the whole grip size. I've tried it. and you feel the edges of the grip a bit too much for my taste, so then you get like blisters and stuff like that. Some people love that feeling. They could play with a leather grip without an overgrip. I prefer the cushioning, and for comfort I would say having a little bit thicker grip, more cushioned grip, is going to help the vibrations also going from the racket. So if you play with like a just pure leather and you have like a stiff poly, like the vibrations going down to the grip, to your hand, is quite heavy, right, and can lead to wrist problems. So be careful also with how cushioned your grip is overall, I would say.
Yeah, I think when you want to start and like test what you like, you should just start with overgrips, like putting more overgrips on. The 1 or 2 or 3, that's the cheapest and easiest way to do it. It just adds like one overgrip is about 5-6 grams, so it will like alter the balance point a bit, but it's not too much. And then you get a feeling. It will get more round. Like some people don't like it, but just for testing, if the racket feels more stable, for example, just use more overgrips. And then when you feel like, okay, and now it feels great when I have 3 overgrips, then you should go probably one size up in the grip, and then you can use a shrink sleeve. You can also change the pallets. But this is like pro stuff you can do if you want.
Yeah, and it's also interesting with the pallet system. So Head has a pallet system, which is like most brands have a foam pallet. A firm pallet that you can't easily change. You can hack it to pieces if you're a professional customizer. I wouldn't recommend trying this. You can do this. But with Head, you can actually buy slightly different shape variations, because Head did change their grips over the years, and several other brands did that too, which makes it difficult. Like an old Wilson grip will not feel exactly like a new Clash grip, for example. And I think there are small variations also with the Clash being a bit more rectangular, the blade being a bit more traditional or pro staff. So that's also the difference you have to account for. Like, so this is a modern Head racket. It has a TK82S pallet, and the S in this sense means that it's more even-sided, so it feels more like a Wilson grip. Like the shape, the sides are pretty even. Some sides are exactly the same. Some grips are very rectangular. That's Technifiber, that's Vulcal, and that's the old Head TK76 grip. That is very rectangular. This is the eye precision. Even has Tennis Nerd here, as you can see. But this is very rectangular grip, so it changes with the years. So you have to really feel it out. This feels comfortable. This feels good on all my shots. It might not feel great on every shot, but it should be very comfortable overall, right?
I think when you have a more classic play style, you play with an Eastern forehand grip, for example, then it's nice that when you have a more rectangular grip, then like this means that this side here is a bit longer than the others. So then it feels a bit more secure when you play an Eastern grip. But when you're a younger player and you're used to Western or semi-Western grip, then this can like bother you because you like grip the racket differently. So this is also something you have to think about. How do I play and what might suit my game? When you have a modern racket and you're a more old school player, you can go up a grip size. That helps as well. But you have to test it before.
Like with everything, it's the same journey for me, right? You mentioned like I had a normal always 3 grip size. Then for some years I went down to L2. I wanted to have a little bit more of a wrist movement on the shots. Now I want to feel a bit more secure. Now I'm more like the 3.5 kind of. It's gonna change a little bit depending on your game changes and your style, and also how the different rackets you're using feels, right? So we have different grips here. We have like an L3 for this one, it's L2 for this one, and they all feel quite different. You can still play with any racket. I can change between them. But for example, this one has a quite famous for quite extreme rectangular shape. It does feel a little bit different on this one because I added 2 overgrips, so it makes it more rounded. So if you like a Technifiber and you don't want to change the pallet, I don't know how easy that is with their new X stamp, maybe that's fine. But it's usually very rectangular, so I added an extra overgrip to make it a bit rounder. So you have to kind of tweak, and you can play around a lot. You can get lost in this, but when something feels good, you should probably just stick with it, like with everything, right?
Yeah, something to consider as well. I think this is an L3. Let me take a look. Yes, it is. You can see here the flare of the butt cap is also different. Like on Wilson, it is the flare is more pronounced, so it's also thicker here. When you compare it like this, you see that I don't know if you can see
Star Wars now,
but that the Wilson is thicker there at the bottom, which some players like and some players hate. So this is also something you have to take into consideration if you think about a racket and the grip and how does it feel.
100%. Yeah, so the grip of a tennis racket is a science on its own. And it might become as a surprise, because when you buy a racket, maybe you're like, oh, you just play with this. But if there's something that doesn't feel 100% right, there's so many ways you can tweak it with the grip, with the base grip, the overgrip, shrink sleeve, as we mentioned, and the different brands, because the different shapes of the sides.
Like from my experience, Prince, we have a Prince here. Prince is very like even-sided.
Yeah,
like,
that's famous for the even sidedness.
And I played for some time. I played with a 93p.
Yeah, I remember.
And this one I needed to play with an L5.
Yeah, really?
Yes, I played it with
that
an
grip was
L5.
huge. Yeah.
Because it didn't work on my Eastern-ish forehand grip.
And you changed your game, so which we talked about in the heavy rackets video a bit, like how much he changed his game and his racket to suit that. So it's like you've done a whole transformation. I still see the old Daniel in a way, like when you're going a bit more attacking tennis, but you changed like the racket, the game style, the grip size, the string, everything, right?
Yeah, I was a bit more reflective about that. What do I like? And then I said, okay, if I like that, let's go for this. Let's try this. And it was a transition to going there. And also, like, there's a channel. It's a Tennis Nerd channel. This guy helped me also with the nerdy stuff.
Or ruined you, like with so many players.
Yeah, that can be also.
My career was ruined thanks to Tennis Nerd. This always happened. I bought like 6 kilos of lead tape, and it's never getting normal.
Yeah, but you can settle at some point, because now I feel like, okay, I found what I like. The options are endless, so you will find something that you like.
Yeah, it's a jungle, because like they also the different base grips have different tackiness, and the overgrips have different tackiness, and some people like this dry Torna grip, which is famous, or was more famous. I don't see it as much anymore. It's like the Roddick, Isner, these guys were all playing with the Torna if you have very sweaty hands. But nowadays you can get like a similar style grip from other brands, of course. But the most common overgrips, I think, are the tacky white ones. There's those you see everywhere, right? Like still, but that also changes about how they feel. And one of the most common things I see, and it's a bit sad to see, is that people don't even spend the €3 per overgrip to change the overgrip. They're playing with overgrips that are brown from sweat and dirt and stuff. So change your overgrips. It makes your racket feel more secure, and you will have probably a little bit better dampening from it and everything. And it's probably less disgusting to have a fresh overgrip as well.
Yeah. Yeah, what I also notice is that you have also different thicknesses of overgrips. You also have that not just for the base grips, also for the overgrips. There's one Wilson one, the Sensation overgrip, which is like really thin.
Yeah.
And you feel that when you compare it to the normal Pro overgrip from Wilson, which is more comfortable.
Yeah.
But if you want to like decrease your grip size, you can go with like thinner base grip and the thinner overgrip. Yeah. And then you get like you can get even 1.5 grip sizes smaller than before. So it's possible to change that if you feel like, okay, I have to, or this doesn't feel right to me or whatever.
Yeah. That's a good point. What Henrik does, who's been on the channel many times as well, is he generally wants to buy, because he wants the racket more headlight like you. So if he buys like a Wilson Blade 104, which is what he's currently using, we'll see how long it lasts. He buys them in a smaller grip. He likes 3.5. He buys them L2, always adds a shrink sleeve, because then he gets that 15-16 grams full-size shrink sleeve, which doesn't really affect how the grip feels. And then he customizes from there, which is also a way to do it. Like you're buying a smaller grip and then you're adding always a shrink sleeve. That's how he likes to do it. Different strokes for different folks, but you have to feel it and test it out a bit, and with the different brands. And there's so many different brands of overgrips, and not all of them are good. Like this is also a thing I notice. I am pretty picky with the overgrips. Like I have a few I especially like the Wilson Pro is a classic. Head Prime, I think it's called. It's similar, Prime Tour, very, very similar. Also very good. Yonex Super Grab. Those are the three I tend to go to. I've tried other brands overgrips and I tend not to like them so much. It's like something I'm like, this is not as tacky or not as good.
Yeah, or they start to like, they don't absorb a lot of sweat.
Yeah.
And then you move around a lot because it's so wet. Like this is.
So you're playing with Babolat grips. Many people tend to like them. They're a bit similar to Wilson, a little bit different.
Yes, a bit, but
very
close.
You can use a caliper and check. I don't have all the data exactly now because they've changed a little bit over the years. So you just need to feel it out. But Babolat pretty good. But you also a little bit bigger. So different brands. If you see an L3 from Babolat, that's a bit bigger than an L3 from Wilson. So that's gonna feel a bit different on your hand. So if you play L3 Wilson, you might want to go L2 Babolat and maybe add a thicker grip so you get L2.5 or something. Like that's like, for example, the pros. If we have Dominic Thiem, he plays 2.5 Babolat grip. He doesn't want a full 3. He plays 2.5, right? So
but on Babolat grips, I noticed that this is due to the base grip. The base grip is pretty thick, and if you go with a thinner base grip, then you get the L3 that you need. So this is kind of the thing with Bubble Art. But when you get it stock, it's thicker than the usual.
Yeah, also, Yonex tend to feel a bit bigger to me than the other brands.
Yeah.
And then we have the most rectangular brands. I told you about that. Volkel, but this is quite rectangular. Feels like, yeah, Eastern grippy style almost, you know. Not so easy to do semi-Western. It feels a bit odd. And same with Technifiber, still a bit different. And for the pros, like pretty much all pros get the grips very much customized to their liking, which is also something I recommend people do, yeah, because if they change brands, you have a lot of pros going, oh, I played Wilson all my life. Daniil Medvedev, he played Wilson 6195. He goes to Technifiber. He's not going to change his grip to a completely different grip. He's going to get his Wilson grip on his Technifiber racket. That's just how it is, you know, generally.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a rule of thumb. So when you grip the racket, that, like for example, for the forehand, that you can stick one finger here in between, and then it's around good for you. Yeah. But this is not like a scientific rule. So you have to play around, and then you are in the ballpark, and then you have to think about, do I like it a bit smaller, that I can like generate with my Eastern grip a bit more spin, or do I like it more old school with the Eastern grip?
And there are different grips for like forehand and backhand as well. So that also changes things, right?
Yeah. One thing I noticed when I tested racket with Jonas in the last few weeks, that when we're talking about grips, the length of the grip is also something very important for the double-handed backhand. Like Wilson is forcing people to play one-handed. It's the most beautiful stroke in tennis, I think.
But it's difficult as well.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like when I'm grabbing the Wilson now to show that. This is the Wilson blade, I think. Yeah, it's a Wilson blade 100. If I grip like the double-handed backhand, I'm like gripping here the frame already.
Yeah, you need to wrap
higher. I saw that when Korda was playing, that he's gripping like really high up, and he's already gripping up here. Yonex is going a different way here, because Yonex grips tend to be a bit longer. So if I grab the backhand again,
which is smart, because I would say how many percentages are playing double-handers? I would say 80, I don't know, 90, I don't know. It's very high. So especially on the WTA tours. It sounds like a boring topic, like that it's not so exciting as maybe weight on a racket, but it's quite important to playability and your game, right? Yes. And also your arm issues. I know many of you, and I think we all have maybe suffered from some arm pains at some point for different reasons, but this is also a part of it. It's the string, it's the technique, it's the stiffness of the racket, but it's also the grip, you know, how it feels. Is it too small? Is it too big? Yeah. Because if it's too big, it can also be that your hand doesn't quite reach around, and it becomes cramped a little bit as well. So you're gripping differently because of that.